And that brings me here. A few weeks ago, a bishop went viral on social media calling the far left's embrace of Marxist ideology chilling. He's also just written a Fox News op-ed warning against U.S. leaders who mock Western culture. Theologian, Bishop of the Diocese of Winona, Rochester in Minnesota, Bishop Robert Barron joins me now. Bishop, thanks for being with us here today. I'd love to start high level, and then we can come down a little lower to the realm of politics. But you've written about Western civilization, which I find incredibly important, something we try to focus on here, and what you've seen from a lot of people, particularly AOC, when she went over to Europe in talking about Western civilization.
Yeah, it was troubling because, the great stress that the Secretary of State put on the culture that unites Europe and America, from Shakespeare to the Beatles, representing shared convictions about, the human being and so on. But then he pushed it further and said, well, that culture in turn is grounded in religion. There he was echoing Christopher Dawson, the great British historian, that said culture's always downstream of religion. If you want to really understand a people, you ask, what do they worship? From religion comes culture, from culture comes the formation of a people. And I thought it was a great instinct that Rubio had to appeal to this common, vision of things. What struck me was when AOC was commenting on that, how she kind of pushed culture off to the side. Well, Western civilization, Western culture is a very thin idea. Shouldn't we be focused on, as she put it, the material, substructure and the class situation? Well, that's right out of the Karl Marx playbook. Marx saw culture not as, it really forms us as people, but as simply a superstructure that protects the economic substructure. The idea is to kind of unmask the pretensions of culture to get to the, economic core of a society. Well, that's an entirely different vision. And mind you, for Marx as well, religion is not, the supreme value that shapes the people. Religion is the problem. Religion is the opium of the masses. And we have to, the first critique, Marx says, is the critique of religion, which you can see in all the great Marxist regimes. The first move they make was to criticize religion, to get rid of it. That's what I found chilling, is the move away from a culture orientation, a religion orientation, to a much more explicitly Marxist one. Because, look at the 20th century. There's plenty of evidence of what happens when Marxist societies come into being.
That's fascinating. If I just dig layer by layer with what you said, you've got AOC's words of calling Western civilization fairly thin. We're all familiar at this point of the broad criticisms of Western civilization, from our own educational system to what's going on in Europe. And you go a bit deeper, as you said, and focus on the material, not the cultural. And then Marx's embrace of that material as economic classes that fight each other. But his understanding that you only get to that if you can first attack religion. You have to take religion out because it is the bedrock of that civilization. My question, Bishop, is, have we not seen that attack on all the levels now? Set AOC aside, just look at our culture, look around. And we're somewhere within these layers of losing not just Western civilization, but our religion.
I worry about it a lot. Go back to the great social reform movements in the middle of the 20th century. Go back to the civil rights movement. Not only were religious people involved, religious people were the leaders of those movements. Look at King is the best example. But so much of the social reform movements going on today are antipathetic to religion. They would see religion as the problem. They're not led by religious people. Religion is looked upon with suspicion. That, I suspect, too, comes from a lot of the, at least implicitly, Marxist formation people are getting in the universities, sad to say. Look, every civilization is flawed. Every civilization is marked by sin because we're all sinners. But we can't set aside all of Western civilization because of flaws within it. We should do, I think, what Rubio suggested, is to celebrate these great principles and intuitions from, Aristotle through Thomas Aquinas to Thomas Jefferson to Martin Luther King. You can trace a kind of, golden thread that defines Western civilization. We should celebrate that, not denigrate it or characterize it as thin, in contradistinction to the, the economic substructure.
And by the way, the universities that might be the home of where this criticism begins also originally founded under the banner of religion. Almost all of them founded under the banner of religion. Of course,
ex cordia ecclesiae, John Paul II said, from the heart of the church came the university system. One of the great fruits of Western civilization, by the way, the university system itself.
Right. Bishop Robert Barron, what a fascinating conversation and worthy of a deeper dive and a deeper read as you have up on foxnews.com right now. Thank you so much for the conversation.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.